What's up? I'm going to show you how you can predict the success of a Facebook ad campaign before you even spend any money on it. Or if you're already spending money, how you can improve your campaigns drastically. So first, I want to go through a little principle. This is a really important principle. I got sick of explaining this to clients, so I'm making this video. Is this you? This is Lance Armstrong pedaling away on a big wheel. Lance Armstrong, probably the best cyclist of all time, the most doped cyclist of all time, maybe, which is saying something because cyclists are really doped. But the best, most doped up cyclist of all time pedaling away on a big wheel. You think he could win the Tour de France on that big wheel? The answer is no. The best and most doped cyclist in the world can't win the Tour de France on a tricycle. Just like the best Facebook specialist in the world can't force Facebook to give them results that they want. If the product isn't there and the offer isn't there, doesn't matter how good at ads you are, you can't get the results you want. You can't force the traffic platform to give you what you want. So the vehicle is more important than the driver. This guy, this amateur cyclist here on a nice road bike could beat Lance Armstrong on a big wheel in the Tour de France. Just like a mediocre Facebook ads manager with a good vehicle is better than the best Facebook ads manager in the world with an inadequate vehicle. And that's why the best Facebook ads managers and direct response marketers focus heavily on the vehicle, even if their main job is to be the rider. I always am talking about the vehicle with my clients. And if you're wondering what the heck the vehicle is, I'm going to get to it in a second. Now, one thing to note here is the rider is very important, but the rider becomes exponentially more important once the bike is the best it can be. So, for example, everyone on the Tour de France has a nice bike, right? So Lance Armstrong has a nice bike. All the other guys had a nice bike, and Lance won for either because he was the best doper or the best rider, one of the two, or a combination of the two, right? So the rider becomes a lot more important once the bike is what it needs to be. So how do you know how good the vehicle is, and how do you improve the vehicle? So it comes down to four things, really: give, ask, conversion process, and target. Target/need/expectation. And that sounds all very confusing, but I'm going to get to it just in a second. But if you dial all these things in and get them all right, you can be this guy, this doped up freaking guy on EPO and blood doping and who knows whatever else, winning the Tour de France on a nice, adequate bike for the job. So the calculator. Now, I start with a Facebook ad success calculator. So I'm going to escape from my presentation view here, and I'm going to show you the Facebook ad success calculator. So it's just a formula. This is an Excel sheet. It's formulated. We've got a formula right here. It's a pretty simple formula. But basically, I'm rating all these things on a scale of 1 to 10. So how good is my give? So the give is how compelling and irresistible is your offer? How strong is your unique selling proposition? How hungry is your market? How attention-grabbing or viral is your product? That kind of stuff, the give, right? Like how much value are you giving somebody? So I have a client right now. I'll go through this for a hypothetical client that I have that sells, let's say they sell sunglasses, and they sell really cool, nice, kind of maybe not super high end, but higher end, like $80 to $120 sunglasses. They don't have any real strong offers. They don't really have a unique selling proposition. Their market, a lot of people sell nice sunglasses. The product's kind of attention grabbing and viral, but it's sunglasses. So I'm going to actually not give them a great score here. I'm going to say they're a 5. Okay. Well, what's your ask? So what's the time investment for the action you want? What's the money investment? What's the personal data investment? Are people handing over a lot of personal data? That's huge in the lead gen space. How many steps are there? That kind of goes back to time. Again, here, monetary investment is high. It's not an affordable product. So I'm going to say that the ask is 4. And actually, the give, we've got a quality product. So let's call the give a 6, and let's call the ask a 5. We're kind of asking for a lot, but maybe not like a 9 or 10 where we're asking like for something super high ticket. Okay. And then we go to conversion process. What is the conversion rate, on your landing page? What's your average order value or your initial conversion value? What's the value of a conversion for you? What's your average 7-day value, 28-day value, lifetime value? How strong is your sales process? How strong is your process for converting clicks into dollars, and how long does it take? And do you have any big advantages that will improve your likelihood of monetizing? For example, do you have a major influencer behind you? Are you partnering with the Kardashians? Or do you have the last gallon of water on earth? You've got a pretty strong advantage there if that's the case. So in this case, these guys, I would say they have a fairly average conversion process. I'm going to call it a 5. Okay, and then on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being very easy, 10 being very difficult, how hard is it to hit your target? How good do you need to be at ads to get the results you're looking for? I'm going to again say a 5. And actually, I'll say they have a pretty strong conversion process, so I'll say a 6, just for the sake of seeing your score here. So first of all, 0 or a negative number, why are you asking for more value than you're giving? So the only way to get a negative number or to get 0 is to not have your give be bigger than your ask. If your give isn't bigger than your ask, you need to go back to the drawing board. 0 to 7, don't even spend money on this. So this client, this hypothetical client right now, they're a 1.2. They're not even in a position to spend money, but I can do some quick stuff to really improve it drastically. So for example, like I could create a really compelling irresistible offer and I can make that 6 and 8, right? And now we're up to 3.6. We're halfway to 7. We're almost there. I could get better at their conversion process, like get better with my retargeting stuff and maybe make that 6 a 7. That's a multiplier that gets it up to 4.2. So you see how you can tweak these things. Okay. 7 to 15, you can make a profit, but you definitely won't. But you definitely want to improve your score, so on and so forth. And there's a quick note down here. So anyway, that's what I use for every client. Now there are a couple scenarios here. If I'm not sure, like I go through this and I'm like, I don't even know how strong their give is. I don't even know how strong their ask is. I don't know how hungry the market is. I don't know the answer to a lot of this stuff. Then I actually have a different sheet, a different product service scorecard that I go to. And, and I grade them based on these 10 questions over here. And I won't dive too deep into those right now. This is actually a different client that I have on here right now. And honestly, all this does is it gives me a score and stuff, and I can use this sheet on its own, but it asks the right questions to help me be able to come back here and say, actually they've got like a pretty strong offering and their ask really isn't as much. Their ask really isn't as much as I thought it was. So maybe their ask is like a 3 or something like that, and now we're up at 7. Great. And also, there's some questions in there about the conversion process, the target, stuff like that. And then the other scenario is that my score is too low. So in this case, my score was too low. So let's go back up here and let's say, our ask is actually pretty strong. We're asking a high ticket. It's a high ticket sale. So let's call that ask. Let's call that a 7. So we're 1.4. Okay. You know what? We aren't even close. We need to improve. All right. So that is when I go over to my 19-point Facebook ad checklist, Facebook ad profitability checklist. And it has kind of some questions for each of these. And then as well, some mechanical questions if you're already running ads over here. But I have a compelling offer. I'm giving my customers blah, 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 all of these things. So I go through here and basically the idea here is you want to be able to check as many of these boxes as you can. If you're not checking very many of those boxes, then hey, you know what, to improve my ask, I'm not checking either of these boxes. If I could check one or both of those boxes, I can improve my ask or my give or my conversion process or whatever it is until you can dial that in and get that score where you need it to be. So, maybe I say, okay, you know what, let's come in with a lower end front end offer and let's make that ask a 3. And let's give it, let's make it still a really strong upfront offer. Let's make sure we've got strong email sequences, messenger sequences, retargeting sequences and stuff like that. And that those AOVs, those lifetime values are really good. And let's actually buy against a deeper lifetime value. And let's buy against a 30-day lifetime value. So our target doesn't have to be so high. So maybe it's a 4. And now I'm up to a 10. Like that's not bad. I'm kind of in there. Right. And I got those action items from the checklist. So that is the process I go through to, end up being this guy, Lance Armstrong, on the bike, on the right vehicle, on an offer in working with a product or service that actually has the right balance of all of those things so that I can have success. And you can actually become a better rider that way. So let me know if you have any questions.